Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. I am your host, Brett McCollum, and I'm here today with Scott Hastings. Today, we're going to be talking about self-employed mortgages. Before we do, guys, at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, and real estate entrepreneurs to 5X their businesses to allow them to build the businesses they've always wanted and live the lives they've always dreamed of. Without further ado, Scott, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Man, doing good. It was really good getting to know you before the show. You got a lot of cool things going on. I'm going to tease the folks a little with you got some mini farm things going on with. That's pretty interesting. But before we get into all the stuff, we got a lot to talk about. Can you do us a favor, Scott? Like rewind, you kind of back up a little bit, tell some context, some history. Who is Scott Hastings?
Who is Scott Hastings? Wow.
It's a deep question.
Okay, you ready? Okay, this is good. So I am coming to you live from Mooresville, North Carolina. Mooresville is right outside Charlotte. Mooresville is known for NASCAR and Lake Norman, also known as Lake NASCAR. And I grew up in Charlotte, and my wife and I own a farm. So my wife is a professional dressage trainer. Dressage is an Olympic sport, equestrian sport. That's all she's ever done her entire career. So on this horse farm, we have 17 acres. We have horses, of course, dogs, chickens, and 2 mini donkeys named Chips and Salsa. They're the stars of the show. They don't do anything but eat and look cute. So you want to hear some more about Scott Hastings?
Yeah, so you are in the mortgage space, obviously. Like maybe before, how long have you been doing that?
Yeah, so I have been in 2003. I'll give you a short history of time. So I I did not have auspicious beginnings, right? I was a young guy, very, very lost, kind of a screw up. And I got out of high school in 1986, so I'm, elderly, AARP material. I went to college for a semester and did a ton of partying at a point 4. Was asked not to come back.
Yep.
Got arrested. So 1986 was not a good year. Went to community college for a couple of years and ran around Charlotte with friends. Had a friend that had gotten sent to New Mexico Military Institute in high school, and he decided he needed some discipline, was going back, and asked if I was interested. I said, I need some discipline bad. So at 20, I went to New Mexico Military Institute for junior college and spent a year there, got all the discipline I needed. And then I went to East Carolina University. If anybody's familiar with East Carolina University, it was ranked #1 party school by Playboy many years in a row.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Perfect place for me. So I had the discipline to get out of East Carolina. I tell people, anybody who graduated from Duke, try to graduate from East Carolina. I met a girl my senior year of college who was Swedish, and we just, long story short, I moved to Sweden for 3 years and worked for a Swedish company selling annual reports. This was really before the internet was a thing much. And I did that for about 8 years. That job ended, and then I said, what could be easier than being a mortgage broker and making big money, right? So my wife was pregnant. I went to a commission-only job. A girl that I used to date had said one time, leap and a net will appear. Well, it will appear, but sometimes the net goes all the way to the ground and you bounce back up. So somehow I stayed in the mortgage business till 2008, helped some guys grow at Lender, actually. Everything blew up, got out for a couple of years, did some other things, and I've been back since 2012. And it's a great job. I love it. Yeah, I tell people you can only do one thing well, and that's what I do. It's mortgages.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's take a breath because there's a lot going on. Man, you've lived a couple lives, huh? That's I like hearing, and I appreciate you sharing that, by the way. I think a lot of us, at a young age, going into college, that sort of thing we don't know who we want to be when we grow up, and I was talking to somebody else about this the other day, and, you're expected to clear these majors and you're expected to tell the world, more like tell the world in quotes there, what you're going to do. And these are what my plans are. And but a lot of us, I don't know what your upbringing was like before college, but a lot of us are lost before we ever get there. And then the whole world is then thrust at you and everything that it can quote unquote offer. And, I mean, I know a lot of us have maybe, similar to your story. It's like, there's some things that we probably wish we wouldn't have done. There's some things that, we wish we wouldn't have done, but maybe we're glad we did because it made us who we are today, stuff like that. Right. But I just found it's interesting, like all the journey that you went through to get to where you are. It wasn't a smooth paved road, right?
No. And I mean, I think as I work with a lot of self-employed people. I like self-employed people, and I am self-employed. I see a theme that goes through a lot of us, that are people that don't like rules, they don't want to work for the man. They want to make their own way. And sometimes that doesn't start off in a real, I've met a lot of people that are really successful in the mortgage business and other businesses that had similar stories, right? Either they grew up in very challenging upbringings where they had no money, maybe had drug, alcohol problems. And once I get through that, sometimes I think you channel that addictive personality into business, and entrepreneurship. And I think probably a lot of people watching maybe can identify with that. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we always make the running joke because you got to be a little crazy to be an entrepreneur, right? Because like I don't want to work for the man because I'm giving them 40 hours a week and blah blah blah, and then you're working 120 hours a week for yourself, and you got to be a little crazy, right, to be able to do that.
And I think sorry to interrupt, but
No, you're good.
like I have this YouTube channel, and you all have people reach out. I'm sure. Um,
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
and you come across a lot of people that are dreamers, right? And I'm sure y'all come across a lot of people that are dreamers looking to do investment properties and stuff. And a lot of people just don't want to put in the work. They see the dream, the Instagram ads, they see this fake life that you just want to make it. But I mean, it's a grind. I tell people, like, I'm like a doctor, I'm on call all the time, but I like it. I could never work for somebody else. That's why I'm self-employed, you know. So yeah.
I think the biggest juggling act for, we were talking kind of pre-show, got small kids, I'm married, 4 kids, and it's how, and all my kids ever want is more time, more time, more time. They don't really care about all the other stuff. And the hardest thing as a self-employed person is being able to know what that balance really looks like. And so I had a coach teach me this. I wonder what your thoughts are here, Scott. Is he taught me that there's no such thing as time management because you can't control time.
Exactly. Definitely. Yeah.
He said you have priority management.
Yeah. My coach, and we talked about that before, his name's Scott Groves, our mortgage coach. He says, say no to the good to make room for the great. So I think a lot of it, and I have a hard time with this, is saying no to people because I want to help everybody, and I basically do. But at some point, you find that the most successful people in any industry, they have to say no to most things, right? To make room for what's actually good. And I think that comes with age and with
well, it's the priority management. Like, how many times do you think something is urgent, but it really can wait, kind of thing?
Right. You're not as you think you are. You let
Well,
me.
I mean, somebody's calling me right now at 7 o'clock, and I know, but they would never call me unless it was important. I gotta guess, it can wait, and my kids don't want me to like, Dad, you just got like da 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 da. And now you're like, and I'm present with them. This is, dude, I'm spilling my guts here. Like, this is all being pointing fingers. You'll be at a doing something with the family, and I'm there physically, but mentally, I'm thinking about everything else.
Right. And, I always think to myself, in a week, what's going to be different? But especially with children, they're not going to remember the money or the deal you had or whatever. They're going to remember the time you had or didn't have with them. So, what's, like you were saying, what's actually important,
It's tough to do though when you're because like when you work 40 hours, well, when you're working 40 hours plus for another company, like that check's coming in.
Yes.
But when it's me, it's me, and if I have to like, do I take 2 days and go spend out of town with the family and da 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 da? Well, I just have too much to do right now, and because if I don't do that, then those 2 days parlay into the next 2 weeks, and then it's just it's a tough game to figure out like the priority management. It really is, and you're always working on it.
I think one thing that I've learned is no secret is go ahead and book a trip, 6 months out, and then you just got to do it. But otherwise, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, no doubt. So let me ask you this: so you get back into the mortgage, you go into the mortgage, and then 2008 rolls around. Something probably happened in the world in 2008. I've probably never heard of it.
Yeah, it was a little blip. Yeah.
Yeah, the little thing that happened, and so many mortgage folks went, oh my gosh, if there was one category of people that got impacted even more than the average bear, it was the mortgage professionals.
Yeah.
How did that impact you? Because I know you picked it back up, but what happened?
I went bankrupt, to be blunt. I kept my house, because if you remember that time, everybody was upside down in their house. you
Yeah.
know.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
So, I started over. Now I was 40, maybe I was 40. I don't know, something like that. And, but yeah, it was brutal. But, my daughter was young. It was brutal. But it was brutal for a lot of people,
Sure.
and really that's something as a mortgage person, I find that so many people, bare their soul, right, when they call and talk to you. And I mean, basically, I talk to so many people when I get back in the mortgage industry, like basically so many people declare bankruptcy, foreclosure, all of the home builders, small home builders, they were done. Everybody was done. So it was a great reset. And really, I went out and tried a few other things, realized that mortgages was what it was actually like. And so I was able to really kind of start at a perfect time.
Yeah.
2012, things had started to turn back around. I mean, anybody that bought real estate. So, I guess, if I'd had some money, I guess we would all, have made a lot of money at that time. But,
Yeah.
I started over and I just started from scratch. But one thing I learned, and I try to tell any agent or anybody I work with, is I've always kept a database, right? I've always kept my CRM. Anybody I talk to, and if you work for another company, doesn't matter if it's a mortgage company, real estate company, whatever, have your own database, keep your own data. Because I've realized over the last 5, 6 years, lots of my business comes from past clients
Yeah.
and referrals from past clients. And that is very valuable, right? And so anyway, uh, that's a little nugget that I've really has paid dividends. And also get yourself on Google My Business, which is you know, that's the best free advertising in the world. Get some reviews.
No
Yeah.
doubt. That's great too. Yeah. So, and I want to pick up into kind of what today looks like here in a moment, but okay, let me see if I can paint the picture. The 2008, going through the bankruptcy, doing that, losing, going to, starting over. There, our market right now, albeit it's not 2008, but I've talked to a lot of people that are on the struggle bus, like hard struggles right now, losing massively, and going through very similar pain points. Okay. Um, how do you talk to that person? Because you've been through it now and you learned some lessons and you went and you came out the other side of it.
Yeah.
How do you talk to that person that like example, if I'm like, 'cause I started after the crash. So
Okay.
and there's so many of us in the real estate investor space that
Yeah.
this first more or less quote unquote downturn that they've ever seen.
Yeah.
Um, how would you like talk to that person?
So I talked to a guy, a good friend of mine yesterday. He's a very successful real estate guy, and he's only been in the business about 4 years,
Yeah.
but he's a grinder. You know what I mean? I mean, he is on the phone calling expireds and whatever they call it, circle prospecting, all that stuff, like 3 hours a day, every day. And he still does good business. Now he's struggling like everybody, but I think in every market, you'll notice, doesn't matter how bad the market, there's a small percentage that are doing well, right?
Sure.
I guess 80-20 rule. But I think within the 80-20 rule, there's another 80-20. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I think for one thing, it's just basic. Americans in general are over leveraged. I mean, we have the most credit card debt in history, right? So I think if you want to really be an entrepreneur, you have to have longer term thinking. And that is also to not have immediate gratification. So where you can cut back on expenses, where you can just put some cash aside to be ready for an opportunity that's going to come up. That's what I would say. And also, I see a lot of people, like I deal with a lot of investors, and in my market, um, it's growing like crazy. Charlotte's not the only place growing. There's places all over the
Sure.
country growing. But look outside, So I happen to be around this little place called Salisbury. You know, I can just look at it and tell in 5 years those home prices are going to go way up because it's still affordable. Um, but yeah, I mean, basically just have some dry powder, uh, even if that's just having little debt, or as little as possible, and just wait for an opportunity. And I've just noticed in my career, there's some things that it's just time, only time can take care of. Like you can
Mm.
grind as hard as you can, and you're making little pieces of progress every day that you don't even really recognize. But in time, if you just keep doing that, things are going to get better. And
Yeah.
all the people you see falling out, I guess the real estate industry, has like insurance and everything else, its fallout ratio is huge.
Huge.
Um, so treat it like a business. I mean, which is get up early, work, you know what I mean? Work on the weekend if you have to, but like we talked about before, within reason, set aside time for
Sure.
your family. Um, yeah, I mean, that's what I would say. There are
Yeah.
deals there. And look for, in the mortgage piece, there are ways. So I talk to people, first time home buyers, I just try to plant a seed with them. I say, look, just get into your first house. After a couple of years, your family's gonna grow, you go somewhere else. But you can keep that house as a rental property. Before you keep, and I do this with a lot of investors, before you put it on the market, go get a home equity line of credit up to 100% of the value of the house. Use that home equity line of credit for the down payment on the next house. You can use 75% of the lease on your departing residence to offset the mortgage. So it almost doesn't exist. And then go buy another one and then do
Yeah.
it again. So I talk to a lot of people that want to like become a real estate investor and have, whatever, four doors overnight. You just have to sort of start where you are. And anybody that's a homeowner is living in their future rental property, you
Yeah.
know? So anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's phenomenal. Like long-term thinking is, and by the way, I think you learn that from going through stuff. We want to get through it. Like we want it now. And,
right,
especially now with things being difficult, I know a lot of entrepreneurs that are just like having to start back over again because they
yeah,
lost it from over leverage, things like that.
right.
Having that long-term thinking of saying, hey, this is not meant to be overnight success. This is long term. So I love that. What does today look like for you? What are you working on? What are you excited about right now in the business?
Oh gosh. So I deal with a lot of, I do all kinds of mortgages, of course. But what I really like is working with what they call non-QM, non-qualified mortgages.
Uh-huh.
That's, self-employed people that can't qualify or don't qualify because they write off all their income on their tax returns. So helping self-employed people buy homes using bank statements or 1099s. But what I'm doing sort of an unusually high amount of right now, this month, for example, is DSCR loans.
Yeah.
I've got a guy right now. We tried every single way to get him qualified. He's a real estate investor, actually. He owns plenty of property, but the way he does his taxes,
Yep.
there's no way to qualify.
Yep.
Um, but he decided, well, I'll buy the house that I want and rent it out for a couple of years and while I fix it up and then I'll move into it. So it's a $1.5 million house on Lake Norman. He's putting 25% down and doing a DSCR loan. So uh, what I like, and I think a lot of people, even brokers, I actually just talked to my rep at UWM. I shouldn't use a company. He didn't know about this. So you can use, if it's an Airbnb property, there's something called AirDNA. You've heard of
Mm-hmm.
that probably. So
Yep.
you can use the AirDNA score instead of the rental analysis to
Sure.
qualify.
Oh, I
Um,
didn't know you could use it to qualify. That's cool.
yeah. So, well, there is no income to qualify. the only thing to qualify is the cash flow of the property.
Correct. Right.
So, usually when you do an Airbnb property, you can't use this Airbnb rent because it doesn't exist. You're buying it.
Yep.
So they use AirDNA. So the only thing you're looking at is the ratio. So normally it wouldn't ratio, but AirDNA almost always ratios. So anyway.
This is probably something I shouldn't tell Scott, but a lot of us, what I was taught with Airbnb stuff,
Yeah.
is find a person that's arm's length or more away from you that's willing to sign a lease for a year, make up the number on it, submit that lease in, and then we quote unquote sublet that so we can Airbnb.
These are things we talk about on the telephone, not in email or
so. But knowing that you can use the AirDNA score changes things. Actually, that's a good nugget, man. Like I didn't know you could do that.
Not all investors or banks, interchangeable term, will do it, but a lot will. And there's also something called no ratio. In other words, you don't need either. It's just going to have a more, you have to put more money down. Usually the rate will be higher.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's a good nugget there. And I love that you do that because we were talking kind of offline a little bit too. Like so many of us, the whole goal for a lot of us as entrepreneurs is like our tax liability to be as close to as possible. Sure. So if I can report no income, awesome. That means my taxes are what they are.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always. We live in a world that, you need, credit score and you need this and you need that and you need, you have to look like everybody else or else, you don't qualify like everybody else. And it's really cool that you understand that side of it. You get there's ways to work around things. All right, let me ask you this question selfishly. What about like for these non-QM type products, interest rate type situations? Are they higher than average? Are they about on par? What do you see normally?
They're going to be higher. I mean, so basically, if you're putting the minimum down, then the rate's going to be the highest. So primary residence, 10% down. That's going to have the highest rate. But so this gentleman that's doing this DSCR loan. Now, when you do a DSCR loan, which is an investment property, of course, you can have a prepayment penalty. Mm-hmm. So if you'll take a prepayment penalty between 1 and 5 years, the rate goes down and down. He's going to keep it for a long time. So he's okay with the 5-year prepay. So his rate is under 7, which is
that's great. That's
unbelievable.
Yeah.
But he's paying basically a point for that, which is it's not bad. The one product that I have done several cash outs on this year and a few purchases that I don't think many people know about, because there's only 2 banks that do it, is a no ratio loan for a primary residence. So if you have basically a 680 to 700 credit score and 20% now to put down, you don't have to claim any income. And you just have to have 6 to 9 months of reserves, mortgage payments in reserve. Now the rate's going to be 9%, but there's some people who just don't fit into any box except that box. And it's also what I've done a lot of is cash out. So primary residence cash out, no job, good credit, So anyway, basically I tell people if you have cash or credit, there's usually a way to do it. But if you don't have any cash and you don't have credit, then you're out of luck.
Yeah. And even then there's, as investors, we have creative finance and there's different ways, there's always a way to do things, but from the lens of a mortgage broker and what you do, there's so many different options that exist that are not, I don't know. I just like the fact that you're out of the box. You're not thinking like, because that's the biggest issue when I'm teaching people and talking to people. Like, basically what I'm telling them straight up, like if you have a W-2 and you can do this also on the side, keep your W-2 because you don't know how hard this is going to be for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Nobody taught me this. Nobody told me that like, hey, when you go off on your own, life's going to be hard. Right. Not just running a business, but because that's hard too, but like the world, our economic society is built upon the W-2.
Yes, exactly.
And nobody taught me that. So now I'm like, oh my gosh, you can make plenty of money. You can have a lot of money in your bank account, but guess what? Try to go do anything. if your taxes don't look like everybody else's, you know, and that's hard, man. I mean, I have a local bank that I bank with, and I went to that local bank. I know the VP of that he's a good friend of mine. He's their number 2 at this bank. And he's like, look, straight up, he goes, I see your accounts. I see what you got. He goes, if you don't make it look like this, we can't do it. And I'm like, and I'm literally trying to get a loan from your bank, and you have access to all of my incoming and outgoing expenditures here. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
You know, and this is a few years ago at this point.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know that Scots existed. I didn't know that I didn't know. So I'm so glad you're doing this, you know, and exposing this to more people. If people want to reach out to you and get to know you more, what does that look like?
My website, mortgagesbyscott.com, and I have a YouTube channel, Mortgages by Scott. Yeah, that's the best way.
I love that. Yeah, we'll make sure it gets in the show notes, and people, guys, definitely reach out and do that. But man, Scott, this has been great. Thanks for so much for being here with me and spending your time.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, perfect. Well, guys, to you as well. Thanks for spending your time and hanging out with us, and we'll see each of you on the next episode. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.